Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for July 12th, 2024. We're going to be talking about some TV shows today, primarily The Boys, House of the Dragon, and then we might get into the Joe Biden press conference. And it's been a couple weeks since the debate, and the guest we had on after the debate is here. So we might discuss that as well toward the end. And if you guys have any questions or comments, it doesn't have to be about this topic specifically. We'll answer everything. So before we get to the introductions, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As you can see on the screen here, we have a bunch of t-shirts in the merch store. Buying any one of them would really help out the show. And I always highlight this now because it's July 12th. Actually, it's July 12th in about an hour and a half, which means August is around the corner, and August is Gluttony Month. So you can get your Gluttony t-shirt here. As I've been saying, gluttony rights are human rights. So support your gluttons by buying this Gluttony Month t-shirt. Also, please consider super chats and super stickers. It's a great way to support the show. It's basically our primary source of revenue here because YouTube ads pay nothing. We've had some great super chats recently from Slew and John Sanders. You guys have been so awesome. Kevin Kovacs had some great super stickers. Jerem DeGeneron, you guys have been so awesome. So continued support would really be appreciated. Like it means a lot to us. Like definitely not kidding about that. So if you guys want to help keep contributing, that's a great way to help support the show. Also, you can go on Amazon to order my new book. It's called Jerks of the College Years. If you guys are familiar with Jerks of the Week, which is a section of the website where I make fun of people, this is basically the same thing. It's just my stories from my 6 years at Penn State. So I had a lot of content here, as you can see with the cover. I ran into some very strange people. So you can read all about them in Jerks of the College Years. So without further ado, our co-host tonight is the Omniferal, who was, like I said, on a couple weeks ago after the debate. So Omniferal, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, glad to have you on. People listening to this may not know this, but that debate show was our third most watched episode ever on the After Dark show. The two most were the two draft episodes we had before the NFL draft, and that was number 3. So it did pretty well, and I thought we had a really good discussion. So, like I said, we might get to some Joe Biden stuff at the end, but I wanted to get to the TV shows because we were supposed to discuss them a couple weeks ago. We just didn't get to it because we had so many comments about the debate, and we had a lot to say about it too. So, which I guess if you watched it, you weren't surprised that we had a lot to say about it. But I can't wait to get into these TV shows with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a couple comments here. Patrick says, new season of The Boys has been disappointing after awesome season 3. So obvious the politics and characters outside of Homeland and Butcher with nothing to do. And then Mike says, gluttons are people too. It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. If punters are people, like Rich Eisen says, then gluttons are people as well. All right, so we have, I think 2 primary shows to talk about, and it's really the 2 TV shows I've watched recently, The Boys and House of the Dragon. I'm caught up on both as of like 20 minutes ago. I just watched the most recent episode of The Boys. And I feel like I said this to you before we started recording. It feels like complete opposites. Like House of the Dragon is a great show, but it has a couple of flaws that bother me, but nothing substantial that like will keep me away. Whereas The Boys has turned into an awful show, but it has a couple of good things that'll keep me watching. So I'm going to stick with both. I feel like I'm pot committed at this point with The Boys, and hopefully it turns around next season, but it's gotten pretty bad. So I don't know which one you wanted to discuss more. You said you just caught up in The Boys as well today, and then you were talking about House of the Dragon being better. So which one did you want to talk about first?
It doesn't matter. We could talk about The Boys first if you want.
Yeah, I mean, might as well start with the bad and then get to the good. It's been really disappointing. I was a huge fan of season 1 of The Boys, and I thought seasons 2 and 3, it took a step backward, but it's still really good in my opinion. But this season 4 just feels like I found myself like saying this out loud to myself as I've been watching each episode, and I'm like, I swear, a couple times each episode, I'm like, what am I watching here? Like some of it just doesn't make sense. They've destroyed some of the characters. Some of their character arcs just are illogical. Even Homelander, who I love. I think you said it. He's like the scariest villain, and I agree with that. He's tremendous. But some of the stuff that he's done this season hasn't made sense either. And I'll get to that in a bit. But Like, what are your like overall thoughts on The Boys season 4, especially compared to the first 3 seasons?
All right. So yeah, I love season 1. I kind of forget season 2 a little bit. I forget like where it went a little bit after that. I know I love season 1. I didn't mind like the satire of, like making fun of capitalism and all that aspect, and like making fun of superheroes, the whole genre. I like that. And then over time, it obviously became more political. And so this latest season, I'll just get into this latest season. I still find it entertaining. The politics, it's like not even woke. It's the politics is so heavy-handed and so on the nose that it's almost like a joke. It's like hard to even like. It's weird. It's like if it was woke and it was like putting some kind of agenda over the story or whatever, like Disney does with its shows,
Right?
Like DEI casting but they try to like squeeze it in and force it. This is actually like the whole point of the show is like political propaganda and to like alienate half the country. It's weird, but it's almost like so over the top and so on the nose that like it almost doesn't bother me as much. It's a little frustrating. It's a little it's stupid. And like, just like how they even like literally say like January 6th and how they, everything is just like, completely one for one with reality, the politics of the country. What I think is interesting, what I do think is really interesting about the show is it gives you a glimpse of how the like left-wing elites, particularly in Hollywood, how they view half the country.
Yes.
So it actually is interesting in that way to watch it because, and I've said this for a long time, like the people, like the Hollywood and the Democrat elites and the left-wing people who like kind of live in this echo chamber amongst themselves, like in a bubble where they don't know what like the common person actually cares about or thinks. They truly believe that like Trump supporters are exactly how people are depicted in The Boys, which is like insane. They're like, and it's a very dated view of like, alt-right, which like, you don't even hear anybody talking about alt-right anymore. Like that's like kind of long gone. I haven't even seen like a white nationalist rally that had to do with Trump in like years. It's kind of like a dated view of how they view like half the country, like just hicks that love guns. And I'm talking about like half the country that they think that they view as like being Trump supporters, like MAGA.
Yeah.
Like gun-toting hicks who think that like, would like start some kind of thing where like in the latest episode where they would start some kind of thing where they would rat their own parents out because they think they're Antifa, who like hate the country. And it's like such a wild view of half the country. It's like kind of interesting in that way because it really shows it shows people watching like how they really view it. This is why they hate half the country. It's because they view people like they think that they're all like conspiracy theorists, like lunatic hicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say I think there's a lot of projection too, and
of course that's like the whole Democrat thing. Yeah, it's all projection.
Yeah, I on Twitter I call it the mating call of the leftists, the projection. When they're talking about putting people in internment camps, where like. This is like the ideas they have. They're like, we're gonna do this. Like how they always say, like, when Trump's in office, he's gonna prosecute all of his political opponents. It's like, well, that's
right.
kind of what you're doing right now.
Well, that's their whole thing. Yeah, like right. They come up with like racial dividing policies, and then they call everyone else racist.
Yes,
it's complete projection. Yeah,
it's awful. And I feel like there's a lot of that in the show. You talked about how they view people on the right. Yeah, they had that convention where the guy was one like there's so many gross things in this season. I can't.
That's one of the problems with the season. Also, I can get into that if you want. Like just that they're doing gross out stuff just for the sake of gross out stuff, and it didn't used to be that way. Right. But now I think that the plot is getting like a little bit worse. Like the actual storytelling is suffering a little bit, and they're kind of just filling it in with like gross out stuff. Yes. That's not as like funny or witty anymore.
I mean, there's no reason for this stuff. Like in the first thing we saw was at that convention where they're in the locker room. They walk in on that guy, the guy who clones himself, like eating himself out. Like he has like what do they call that? The centipede or whatever. And like there's no point to that. And it's like if that's the only gross thing, okay. And like they did make a joke about it, like a guy, and they're like, but that didn't have any impact on the plot at all. And then they just keep going with it. Like the whole the web weaver thing when they go into that mansion. I forget the guy's name, but
Tech Knight.
Tech Knight, yes. When when they do that, that's the stuff where the lady walks in and she like he has to sit on a pie and he has to like fart and the dude gets off to that. And then there's another thing that happened too. Oh, the octopus thing with the Deep.
That was weird. That was weird.
Yeah, that's very.
Yeah, they didn't establish the Deep falling in love with what's her name, Sister Sage.
Yes. Yeah.
They didn't establish that enough to, and I was like, why is he letting? I get that the octopus thing was annoying to him, the octopus lover or whatever it was. I get that it was like, it was annoying, but they didn't establish like that he fell in love with Sister Sage or whatever, that she was manipulating him. That wasn't really clear because they just hooked up like once in one scene that you were like actually saw.
Yeah.
And so that was weird. Like, I didn't understand why he was like letting the octopus die, and then why all of a sudden he became like a psychopath like within 2 seconds. That was weird.
Yeah, I mean, they hooked up once, and then she said, we can hook up again, and then the octopus said, "I could smell her on you." So, I mean, there was at least 3 times, but still, like you're right, like they didn't really establish that at all. And then when the Noir said like he was in love with Sister Sage as well, I don't understand the point of that either. Like it felt like it was just for a one-liner joke, like when they kept saying "bro" to each other. And then the Deep is like, bro, and what was the whole point of that? Either? Like I don't understand. Like all this weird sex stuff on the show. It just feels like it's just to get a reaction or just to make people laugh. But it's not a comedy, there's like no, it doesn't advance the storyline at all.
No, like I mean, I don't mind jokes, but like
right.
It's just weird. Like they sometimes like they take these characters that like do irredeemable things. And then they try to make them sympathetic, and then they switch back to making them like evil again, like the Deep, like where he like I guess like kind of sort of sexually assaulted. Oh my God, what's her name?
Starlight.
Starlight, thank you. Like sort of did that, and he was like kind of a dick and whatever. But then they kind of make him out to be like a sympathetic idiot. But then they kind of make him out to be a psycho again, and it's kind of all over the place. It's like there's not many characters in the show that haven't done irredeemable things that kind of make it hard for you to root for them.
Yeah.
And like, I get that that's kind of what the show is going for a little bit, but it does make it tough. Like, the only person who's actually like decent, the only 2 people that are like really decent are, oh my God, what's his name? Meg Ryan's kid, the actor. What's his name in the show?
Huey?
Yeah, Huey. Thank you. Oh my God. He's actually annoying. I think he's annoying, but Huey is like good, and the other guy, the black guy,
Mother's Milk.
Mother's Milk, yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's good.
Or are you talking about A-Train too? Because like it felt like they redeemed the Deep, and then they are like, oh wait, let's cancel that, and then let's redeem A-Train instead.
Kinda, and I do wonder if that's also like they're kind of redeeming the black character, and not like the white guy has to be a dick.
Yes.
I always like kind of look for that a little bit in these kinds of shows. I'm always like, are they doing that where like all the white guys can't be redeemed? But I guess it's not. There's not really too much of that in The Boys. That's the one thing I can say. It's like really just political propaganda, like some weird political satire that like alienates half. It's very weird. I don't know why they chose to go that route.
Yeah.
Like there's only a select audience of people that would like find that funny, like far left people watching it. We'd be like, that's true. They do think in conspiracy theories, and it's like so weird to go with that route with the show. It's like not clever. It's not creative.
No.
It's a shame because it was such a good premise, and it is an entertaining show. And I do want to know what happens with Butcher and his son, or the kid who's not really a son, and I love Homelander. Like he is, I think, the scariest villain maybe in history. Like the idea of like a Superman who's just like a psychopath who's. It's something scary to me about like just a bully who will do like you don't know what he's going to do at any moment, but he can kill you at any moment. Like you can't do anything about it. Is like the scariest thought.
Yeah, and he's insane too.
Yeah.
So that adds to it. There is one thing I didn't like about Homelander this season. I just want to get to these comments. Patrick saying Homelander act in episode 4 deserves an award. He was so phenomenal in that scene. Are you talking about the where he goes back to where he was? Like in that lab I think that's episode 4. Because that was really cool. That was a good episode. Yeah,
And that's a good example. It made Homelander sympathetic. But like
right.
I know for a fact from interviews with the showrunner that that's not what they're going for. Like they think that people that find Homelander to be the hero are like idiots. It's weird. It's like I don't get what they're going for there.
But I saw that interview as well, and I was kind of surprised because he said most people view Homelander as the good guy or something, and I'm like, who views him as the good guy? He's clearly the bad guy in the show.
Yeah, the right wing people that in his fantasies believe that the Homelander's the good guy.
Yeah, I mean he's a cool character for sure. I mean the actor who plays him is phenomenal, and I mean the story arc for this character for the most part has been great. But like you'd have to be insane to think he's the good guy. I don't think anyone thinks that. So that was really surprising that interview. I'm like that's so strange. Basically the guy Kripke, I think was his name. He's like, yeah, so many right wingers thought he was the good guy this whole time. I'm like, not who thought that? No one thought that.
Yeah, nobody thought he was the good guy, but then they make an episode where they do make him sympathetic, and it's like I don't get. I guess maybe I shouldn't read the interviews because it's like confusing. I'm like, I don't know what you're going for here. Like, I like that. I always like a villain who has some sympathetic qualities. That always makes for a better villain.
Yes,
it's just confusing. It's confusing because I don't know what they're going for.
I totally agree. I mean, giving a villain a backstory to to sympathize with them a little bit, like that adds dimensions. Whereas, like if you just have this villain who's evil for no reason, it's just it's basically a one-dimensional character.
Yes.
So yeah. I mean, some of the best villains of all time have this, like you build up some sympathy for them, but you know that they're so evil that they have to be stopped. So you almost want to like root for them because they've been through such hard times. Like Homelander had a really tough upbringing. Like,
yeah,
good. But then again, like he's killed so many people that you just can't root for him. But still, you can obviously understand where he's coming from. Patrick says it might be hard to believe, but Homelander is even more insane in the comics. I have not read the comics. Have you?
No, I feel like I started reading it and I didn't finish it or something. But no, I never really read it. I actually should. Maybe I will.
So one thing that bothered me about Homelander, it wasn't really Homelander. It was the plot between Homelander and Huey. In that episode, I think it was episode 3, where Huey's in the air ducts and he's like listening in on a meeting between Homelander and I think Sister Sage. I forget who else was there. And then remember that sweat like dropped down on the Homelander and then he sniffed it and then he knew who it was. And then he just kept shooting beams up into the ceiling to try to kill Huey, and obviously couldn't kill Huey because A-Train saved him. But like he was so like hell bent on killing Huey because Huey heard about his plans, and I was like, okay, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, man, Huey's got to really go into the bunker here, like he's got to hide out. And then like the next scene Huey's in, he goes to the hospital to visit his dad, and I'm like, if Homelander wants to kill Huey, he's like, he's probably at the hospital, right? Like that's the first place you check. It just seems like the storytelling here just didn't make sense logically.
There's a million inconsistencies and weird things like that. Like there's a million times that Homelander sometimes has super hearing and then other times like doesn't.
Yeah.
There's a million things like that. Like it didn't make sense that Tech Knight, who's supposed to have super senses, didn't know that Huey was in that outfit. That's like the dumbest thing. Or at least didn't know that wasn't Webweaver in the outfit. Like they tried to say it was because the smell of the outfit smelled bad or something. That was a stupid reason.
I was confused about that. Did he even know what? Well, I guess he met Webweaver before, right?
He's supposed to have known him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just didn't know if he like just heard about him or communicated with him outside. I just never met him before, like in person. I was just not clear about that. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking like that's the only way he would know that. You know what I mean?
What about Web? Yeah, no, he knew Webweaver, I think, at least in the show.
Yeah. No. That's what I'm saying. I thought maybe it was the case where he just communicated with him like on the phone or like a Zoom chat or something like that. Like I just never like met him in person. That like because that's the only way it would make sense because like you're right, like he would be able to notice that otherwise.
Yeah, and he would know his voice if he has like super hearing. He's also supposed to be like Batman. It was supposed to be like take off of Batman, and even Batman would have known. I think because Batman's supposed to be the world's greatest detective. I don't know. It's just some of that. It's a shame. I wish they would do more with I do like the concept of having these like evil versions who are like kind of sick in the head, characters that are like based on, like DC or whatever, Marvel, mostly DC, I think, or maybe all DC. Actually, yeah, it's all DC. But I like that idea. Like, I like having like a Batman who's like a weirdo, like masochist, kind of like psycho dude with the super senses. They just didn't flesh it out enough, and they're very inconsistent with the powers that these. Like, Homelander could have killed all of them within the first episode.
Yeah,
it like doesn't make any sense. They keep meeting at like the Flatiron Building for some reason, and like they just have all their meetings in the one room, and like even the Deep found them in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So Homelander could kill him, and like, I mean, does he not kill him because of his son? Even that's not really believable in Homelander's character. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, felt like he should have killed him. I was none of this makes sense at all. And then you have other characters that feel like they ruin as well.
I hate Frenchie. I've always hated Frenchie.
Yes,
I've always hated Frenchie, and I've always hated him. And what's her name? Mika. What's her name?
Man,
I'm so bad with the names.
I call her Keiko, but that's Chief O'Brien's wife in Star Trek.
Yeah, I can never remember her name. It's like Keiko, or she's Japanese. I know.
Yeah.
I hate both of them, and I always have. And then this season, they really they made him gay for no reason.
Ugh,
for no reason, like no reason. That's like a good example. That's like classic woke. That's like something they would do in a Disney show, where like they just literally make somebody gay for no reason. Like, people are allowed to be gay, but he wasn't gay. He wasn't established as gay before that. Just all of a sudden was gay, and like, I don't understand. Are him and her in love? I don't. But they don't go near each other.
Well, it's very weird. She's like, this is not working. This, assuming
like, yeah, this weird thing where you're gay and we don't go near each other, and it's very weird. The whole thing's weird. I hate his whole subplot. I don't like him. I don't like his character. He's annoying. She's a little annoying. I don't. Yeah, I could get rid of both of them easily and add something more substantive to the show.
I feel like she could be okay. It's just
she could be okay.
Tedious.
He's the worst.
Yeah. It's a little tedious to keep reading. I just want to like not read and just watch the show. But I mean, it's kind of a dumb thing to say about a character, but I don't know. I feel like she says she can talk, right? In this previous episode, she said the only reason she can't talk is because she said nothing while she killed her friend growing up. Like, what? Like, I don't know. I figured her vocal cords were just ripped out or something, and she couldn't talk, but she actually can talk. So
it's like filler. It's like a bad subplot. It's like, just move the story along. Like, I hate flashbacks. And I hate like bad subplots that like slow down the main story. It's like, I just want to know what happens with Butcher and Homelander. And it's getting a little frustrating that it's like this cat and mouse thing that, like, I get that's how shows work, but it's like a little too much already. Like, I want to see Homelander get hurt a little bit, or something happened to him. It's like, come on already. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is just real quick on Keiko, and I'm going to talk about Frenchie too. This is maybe the dumbest thing in the entire show, which is saying something. In that scene where in the library and in that mansion, and like A-Train is there, and she's trying to talk to him, and so she finds book covers to communicate.
That was ridiculous.
That was the stupidest thing. Like, how long would it take to find a book of what you're trying to say, and like how convenient is it that you could, like, everything you're trying to say is on a book cover?
Yeah, it would be quicker. It would be quicker for you to just find a pen or like write something in your own blood or anything. Like, finding a book cover with the exact words you need is not close to realistic at all. It was silly.
That was so stupid. I was like, I said, like, what am I watching here? I must have said that like 8 times so far. I'm like, this is so stupid that they did that. And then Frenchie, like, to touch on what you said, like, it adds nothing to the plot to make him gay. Like, it doesn't change anything. They could have easily made that the person he's communicating with a girl, and like he killed that girl's family, but like still we don't know what impact that had anyway. Like there's no reason for that. Like, the only reason why he went to prison, or he turned himself in, is because he felt guilty about killing that guy's family. But like, you don't need that subplot.
No, shouldn't he feel guilty anyway? Well, why did he feel guilty? Because he just banged the dude?
Yeah.
And what are the odds that the dude you just banged is the dude's family you killed? It's like, it's all silly. It's a really stupid, like, not creative subplot that just drags everything down even more. And they just didn't know what to do with those characters, so they just made up some stupid thing where he's like gay all of a sudden. and killed the dude's family by coincidence, and then felt guilty because he found out it was his family. Like, you didn't feel guilty before. Like, what kind of asshole are you? It's weird.
But he had a tattoo on his leg, or he had a whatever scar on his leg, so that he'd be able to find out. So he had to tell him.
It's really silly. It's bad writing. And
the only thing I remembered was the scar on that dude's leg.
It was stupid. I wish Homelander would just come in and like rip him apart.
I know.
Like, really,
just end his misery. Like, it kind of reminded me of Stranger Things season 3. Well, I've talked about this with you, where that Steve, that one character, he's working at the ice cream shop or a donut shop. I think it's ice cream shop at the mall with that one girl who's kind of skinny, and they develop
Uma Thurman's daughter.
Yes. They develop so much chemistry between them, and it's like you're rooting for them to like hook up at the end of the season, and then they're in the bathroom together, and he goes in for a kiss, and she's like, "Oh, I'm a lesbian," and like there's no reason for that. I was like, oh my god, this is so stupid. I felt the same way with Frenchie, except like that character, at least like she was a new character, and like we like she didn't get introduced as being straight, and then suddenly she's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm a lesbian now." With Frenchie, like they never mentioned it, and they had this relationship with him and Keiko for 3 seasons, and they don't say anything. Like, it feels like those two were in love, and then suddenly he can't bang her, and he just has to go for guys. Like, did he not know he was gay? Like,
it doesn't, dude. It doesn't. It's like they came up with it on the spot. There was like, it was really dumb. I think they just needed to fill time on the show, and they needed something to do with those characters. They had no idea what to do with them.
Yeah, it's
and I hate flashbacks.
Flashbacks have to have some sort of purpose. Even when they do, I find it annoying. You know what show did flashbacks really well was Lost.
Lost. I knew you were gonna say Lost. Yeah. Well, that's like one of the first. I feel like that's one of the first shows that ever did it.
Yeah.
And then it became a gimmick, and then like a lot of shows, like they use it as a crutch, where they do like a million flashbacks, and I hate it because it just slows down the story so much. I feel like there's been some shows that have done it well, but it's rare.
Yeah.
Because I don't care.
Yeah, I agree. And Lost did it well because they built like the characters. Like you got to learn how Jack was, like with his dad, like being an alcoholic, and like how he got there. And like Locke, you learned about his disability, and like Sawyer's backstory was amazing. How he took the con artist name who killed his mother.
Yeah.
It's just so many cool like backstories on Lost. Like and just like all connected to when they were on the island. That's what made it so great. But like these backstories on this show and others, there's just no connection. They're just filling time, and it's just, I don't know. I guess it explained why Keiko can't talk, but like I feel like you could just did something else and had it more logical. Like that, like she actually can talk, but she's too scarred mentally to do it. It just doesn't make sense. Like after all these years,
I just don't care. I just kill her. I don't.
Yeah, well,
I mean, get rid of her. I want to know what happens with Butcher and Homelander. Just like I want to see Butcher kill or hurt Homelander, and that's it. That's all I want to see. I want to see his bad persona get whatever that thing is that destroyed that one dude who could stretch, Ezekiel or whatever. I want to see that come out and hurt Homelander finally. That's it.
By the way, how obvious was it that the Kessler guy was a figment of his imagination?
The most obvious thing in the worworld. It was the most. It was the worst. It was the worst twist ever.
I was like right away. I'm like, wait, this guy's not here, right? And I was like, when it was revealed that he's fake, I'm like, yes, I knew it. And I'm like, well, it's kind of obvious. Never mind.
Because it's a gimmick. It's also a gimmick. It's been done. The same. Yeah. It's also been done where people see people that they are telling them 2 different things. Like they're all gimmicks that have been done.
Yeah. Something I didn't get right was Starlight this past episode. Where the shapeshifter touches her when that lady wants a selfie at the bar, and it turns out not to be a Starlight. But I was a little confused because like that shapeshifter knew Starlight was hesitant about her outfit, and then she put it on. But like how would she know that if that's a shapeshifter? That's kind of confusing. Unless she can like absorb the person's memories to some extent. I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't really know anything about the shapeshifter, so I guess that's possible. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is possible. I just thought that was very weird. I don't know. I felt like they did that just so they could trick us at the end and be like, "Oh wait, this is not Starlight," which was. I'll give it to them. It was a cool twist. I was like, "Whoa, I didn't see that coming." That was like the first time, like this season. I'm like, that actually surprised me." I think everything else has been like super predictable and awful. I don't know. I am looking forward to more Homelander. And yeah, Butcher's still cool. I can't think of another character I really like on the show.
I like Mother's Milk.
He's okay. It's kind of annoying though. I don't know.
A little annoying. I know, a little annoying. Yeah, but I do like him. I like
What are your thoughts on Alexa Jones? I mean, Firecracker.
I like her. I mean, I know that she's supposed to be what's her face, that Congress lady.
Oh no, she's supposed to be Alex Jones, I think.
No, she's supposed to be oh my god, the blonde
Marjorie
Congress
Taylor
lady.
Greene.
That's it, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Supposed to be Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Is she?
But they
though?
do.
I thought she was supposed to be Alex Jones because she had her own
you're
show
right.
and stuff.
You're right that they write her like Alex Jones a little bit. Like they do make her character like kind of like Alex Jones, but I know that like she was inspired by Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Interesting. Because they introduced her as a talk show host, like online rather than a congressperson. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene was, as far as I know, wasn't a podcaster before she came.
No, they're mixing everything that they view as a Trump supporter, MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
That everything they view, they're mixing together into one thing. This is really what they believe, that like anyone who's like this MAGA Republican people that they think are like nut jobs, all like listen to Alex Jones and they hate science and they think the world is flat and they're neo-Nazis and they believe all this. This is really what they believe. Yep. That these are the people supporting Trump and that as soon as Trump gets in the power, he's going to start rounding up people and putting them in the camps. Like no joke, they're that psycho. It's the wackiest thing ever, and the show really gives you a glimpse into how these elites, like these liberal elites, that like all it's an echo chamber amongst them and live in a bubble. That this is what they believe half the country is like.
It's pretty wild, but you're right. It's a mirror into their world, really. The show, and it is kind of fascinating, like you said. Just to see this, it's just ridiculous.
It's such nonsense, and it really. I mean, I've been saying this for a while to like people I know and stuff, that like that's why they hate half the country. The academic elites believe the same thing about half the country.
Yes.
They think that it's all like racist, sexist, neo-Nazis. It's really wacky. And the stuff that the irony is that a lot of it, like when they say stuff in the show, it's like like Antifa, like nobody cares about. A lot of it's dated. It's almost like they wrote it like 5 years ago. Like nobody cares about Antifa, but if you are going to make a point about Antifa, like they do hate America. That's a fact. That's not like they're anarchists. The whole point is that they hate America. It's just funny because they say things in the show that are actually true, but they make it like it's some kind of conspiracy theory. But it's like a known fact.
You have to turn in your parents, apparently. This again.
Yeah, like nobody's ever thought that. Like, where are they coming up with this stuff? That like,
well, that's the way they did. That's what they did in the USSR. Like you would occasionally have kids turning in their parents for speaking out against Stalin and stuff like that. Like this is what leftists have done in the past.
That's the leftists. That's the irony. Like you've said, it's projection. So like it's the leftists that have done that, and that's the leftists that are doing that now. Mm-hmm. It's not the other way around, and it's just so wacky that the projection and like just the ignorance of like what's really going on is interesting, and the show really puts that on display, like to a point where it's like so on the note, like so ridiculously like supposed to mirror reality that it's like I can't even take it serious. It's almost like it makes it a joke when I'm watching it.
Yeah,
like almost in a way that helps the show. Like it's so over the top that I can't even like it doesn't even bother me. I'm like, this is like completely wacky. But that's yeah.
I know it does bother me. I'm just like, because the first season didn't have any of this stuff, and
of course I wish they didn't do it. Of course,
yeah, and
it does take away from the show.
I even told you the final scene is season 3, when the guy yells fascist, and then Homelander uses his I-beams to kill him. Like I felt like they were making him out to be Donald Trump. And,
they were, because Trump said he could shoot somebody in the street or whatever and get away with it, and that was the whole point of that.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, and like that's when it started, really. The end of season 3, I thought, yeah, and you had that whole like neo-Nazi girl.
Yeah,
I felt like it was heading in that direction, but it wasn't like overly like obvious otherwise. But this whole season, it's just like buzzwords from like the political sphere, like you said, like January 6th, Antifa, like
yeah.
yeah.
Why even say January 6th? Like, why? Like, it's just not. Like, what do they think they're accomplishing with this?
Yeah.
It's very weird, and I don't know. Like, I don't. It doesn't help your show, like, to alienate people, like half the people in the country.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of shows now are doing that, but this show, like, really is just flagrantly. It's insane.
Well, I'll continue to watch it. Homelander, great character. Otherwise, like I said, I have trouble finding a character I like on the show. Firecracker, I mean, it's easy. It's easier to like her because she's attractive. Like I felt like I asked myself, like, if she's ugly, like, would I like her as a character? I'm like, I don't know.
And they make her sympathetic too, which I like. But that's where I get confused, because I know that the people making the show hate conservatives, and they're making these people all out to be like conservative right-wing nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm confused when they make them sympathetic, because I'm like, wait, are they actually not? Do they not hate these people? I'm just, that's why I get confused. Like, in a normal show, I can understand making villains sympathetic, but when they do it with this political, like, propaganda-ish thing where they're trying to make, like, Homelander out to be Trump and her out to be Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I know they hate, then I'm just confused about what their whole point is. It just messes me up.
Yeah. It's funny why they hate Marjorie Taylor Greene so much is because, like, she made people vote in the Senate or in Congress. Because, like, she told the story when she was on Timcast where she'd be in and there'd be like 5 people there, and like the person at the front would be like, all voting say yay, and they'd be like all saying nay, all again say nay, and they'd be like, okay, let's pass. And she's like, wait, what's going on here? like why are we passing stuff and no one's voting for it? And she called everyone back in from their fundraising stuff, and they all got pissed, and like that's why that was like the genesis of it.
I'm not even sure that's the thing. I think they're too ignorant. Like, I think you might be giving them too much credit that they even are aware that she did that.
I think they just. Sorry, I meant to say I'm talking about the politicians themselves. They
politicians, maybe, yeah. But like, as far as like the like liberal elites that are like out, in Hollywood or whatever, like, I just think that they just view everybody in this whole lump of psycho Alex Jones style. Not that I think Alex Jones is everything he says is psycho, but like, that's like the conspiracy theorists, nut job neo-Nazis.
The problem with Alex Jones is like he usually can't articulate himself well. Like when he's like, all the frogs are turning gay. Like, what he meant to say was like there's like chemicals in the water that change like the frog's sex, and like so like the male frogs or the female frogs become men, and like they have sex with other male frogs. Like that is actually true, but like he couldn't articulate it. So I always find that funny. But I think all it takes is like one email from the DNC to the media to be like hey, start calling out Marjorie Taylor Greene. And it all comes from the politicians, and they all hate her. So I think that's like where it stems from. Like I said, the genesis of the disdain for her. It's because she made everyone work.
Yeah, it's the media. It's the media presents everything a certain way. Like, the media is completely biased, and they present everything a certain way, and like people just buy into it without doing any actual research or finding out anything on their own.
Yeah,
and it's a shame. That's like what our country's come to. But whatever, that's a different discussion.
Yeah, for sure. Patrick says, I also find it weird how the end of season 3 wasn't really fleshed out. I thought that would be a huge focus on the season since it was such a big end to season 3. Like when we were talking about how he kills that guy, and he got off like very easily, just for murder. I was kind of like, I was actually surprised that he was on trial, like just because I don't know, it was very strange because like just the way it ended, like everyone cheered for him. I don't know, I just didn't even think that he'd be on trial, but I don't know.
It's weird. I just don't know what they're getting at. That's I don't know. A lot of these things, if they didn't make it so political, then I wouldn't be confused. But like, they make it so political, I'm like, I don't get what they're getting at with a lot of this stuff. Yeah. And then they bring abortion into it for no reason, and it's like, well, come on, like, why do you? They just like can't stop.
I know, like, it's stupid, but like, I was like, hey, Starlight's actually the villain here. she killed her baby.
Yeah, well, I get really mad when they start like there was supposed to be one guy that said something like, a baby killer, whatever, and they're like, he's an asshole and he's an idiot, and it's like, do you really think someone's an asshole who thinks you're killing babies and is trying to save babies? Like, I wish that the left like had that kind of like nuance in their thinking, that they could at least understand where people are coming from
Right.
with abortion. And not to like change the topic, I'll make this quick, but like I get frustrated because I don't actually feel like super strongly about abortion unless it's like, you know, like late term or whatever. Like I'm not passionate about it. I think it's hard to make a moral argument for it. I think that like definitely the side against it has a better moral argument against it, but I'm not like, it's not one of my passions. I just get annoyed that like the one side can't see at least the view of the other side that thinks you're killing babies, which is a reasonable view. Like you don't have to be religious. Like they think everybody thinks that is like a religious nut.
Right.
And some like, you know, that's not true. Like some people just morally think that like, you know, you're killing babies and they're not for it. And they're trying to save babies. So can you really call them assholes? You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird to like demonize them. That because it's not like, you know, it's like, it's completely a reasonable cause to fight for if you believe that.
Well, anyway. I mean, they almost have to demonize because like some of them celebrate abortions. Like, no,
well, that's insane. That's insane.
Right.
I mean, obviously, right. Like that's, you know, I understood when it used to be like, what was it, like safe, rare, and legal, safe, and rare, or whatever, something like that. Or legal, and what was it?
Safe, legal, and rare.
Safe, legal, and rare. Yeah. Like that was at least understandable, like compromise to a certain point. But like, yeah, now it's like the far left is like the radical left is like celebrates it and wants to do it at like 9 months, and that's insane. That's like literally evil.
Yeah. No,
but at least understand the opposite side. At least like understand that like people don't mean bad by it. They think they're saving babies. That's like what they believe, and that's a reasonable thing to believe. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think these people don't understand nuance and they're first order thinkers. So
of course not. They think it's the neo-Nazis and fucking and religious zealots and you know, like it's so wacky. Yeah, and the show gives you a good glimpse. That's how I look at it. But I still find it entertaining. I still want to know what happens with Butcher, and I still want to know what happens with Homelander. And I always hate to like support a show that's this political because it like, you know, it bothers me to like, you know, I don't want them to keep making shows that are like this. They're like with the political themes and with DEI agendas. And I want people to kind of like boycott those shows so they stop doing it.
Yeah.
But I do want to see what happens. So
yeah, it'd be one thing if they established this right away and like they deemed it a comedy, like kind of like satire almost. But that's not how it started, and they just keep going down this rabbit hole. And it's yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, it gets super annoying. How they just I don't know, they just keep like they keep making these super references. I don't know. I'm the Furl signed off. I'm sure he'll be back. Patrick says I'm currently watching season. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, lost you for a second.
Yeah, I was reading this comment. I'm currently watching season 4 of Heroes. Season 1 was great. It's been so painful since. Yeah, Heroes become so annoying.
Don't watch. Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. And no characters die except Nathan. Should I watch Heroes Reborn? I don't think I watched Heroes Reborn. I'm not sure I did.
I don't watch Heroes anything. I think it's just it's like old and nobody uses the powers for like. I remember that nobody would use the powers ever. It was like a once every like 5 episode thing. Somebody might use a power.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch it. It gets bad.
Well, season 1 was awesome though. I mean,
but I mean, do you want to just watch season 1? I don't know if you're cool with that.
Yeah, just treat it as a one-off. I think.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there are some great shows that were only one season, or there's some shows that were only just like the first season was great, and then like True Detective, like season 1 was amazing, you know, and then I didn't even watch seasons 2, and I don't know however.
Oh my god, the last season's so bad, dude. It's so bad.
Yeah, no, but like if you just watch season 1 and just stop right there, like you'll enjoy the show. That's what I told Tom as my co-host on Saturday when he got into Game of Thrones for the first time. He just watched The Red Wedding. I told him, I told him, I'm like, just watch seasons 1 through 6 and just stop after that. And I agreed, and he agreed to do that.
But it's not like, but then you're like losing the story unless you like read the books or something. I don't know.
I would argue that they lost the story, the show.
No, I mean that's fair, but like True Detective, this first season is like its own story.
Right, that's true.
As opposed to like other shows where like I don't know, you kind of like you don't see what happens after if you stop watching. But
yeah,
whatever.
You could just pretend it didn't exist. It doesn't exist. I don't know.
I mean that's true. There's like so little to watch these days that like I wouldn't fault anybody for watching one season of a show. Like I started watching Time Bandits, like the original, like 1981 Time Bandits, because I have nothing else to watch.
Really? Wait,
Yeah.
have you watched Alice in Borderland per my suggestions?
No, I know you told me. I forgot. No,
You have nothing to watch, eh?
I know you did tell me.
No, no. I also treat this similarly to Star Wars, like Star Wars episodes 4 through 6. Like, obviously, don't have to say this, but amazing movies, especially 5 and 6, and then seasons episodes 1 through 3. We watched. I remember going to the theater, watched it. I watched episode 2 with you in the theater. I don't know about the other ones, but I mean, we enjoyed those. Those weren't nearly as great as 4 through 6, but they were still like watchable. But then, like, I watched episode 7. I was like, this is bad. Like, this is horrible. And then episode 8 was the worst. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I just didn't watch 9. I'm never going to watch 9. And for anyone getting to Star Wars for the first time, and my wife included, she never saw Star Wars before we got together. I just had her watch episodes 4 through 6 and then 1 through 3. And I'm like, don't watch 7. And she's like, okay. So
Well,
yeah,
of course.
So
you don't need to. That's the thing. You don't need to with those. And Star Wars is dead.
Yes.
Yes, it's done. It's over.
Yeah, it was over when Disney bought it. And
yes,
I was like, I feel conflicted about this when Disney bought it. I'm like, on one hand, we're gonna get a lot more Star Wars, which at the time was good. And then I was like, on the other hand, I'm like, Disney's probably gonna screw it up. But I didn't imagine it was gonna be this bad. And it just got awful. It got so bad.
Oh yeah, it's unwatched. I mean, The Acolyte is like supposed to be. I won't like Acolate's an example of a show I'm not going to ever support by watching and like give them the views.
So you haven't watched any of it?
No, I know it's bad. I've given up. Like I'm like one of those people that's given up. Like I watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was horrendous. I watched the Book of Boba Fett, which is one of the worst shows I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it was really bad. I mean, it was like a joke that they had like these like I don't want to start getting into other shows, but like at one point they had these teenage bike riders that were on these like weird. It was just so stupid. And I think I gave up after Obi-Wan maybe. And then in the last season of Mandalorian was horrible. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, I guess that's it. Like these, I've kind of given up on Disney Plus in general, to be honest. Like the only thing that was actually good recently was the new X-Men animated show was actually very good. The first season, but I think they fired one of the guy who was in charge of it, like the showrunner. I think he's off the show. And so now it's probably going to suck. And that was probably the only thing that's been good on Disney Plus in a long, long time, if there even was anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I have it on sometimes for my son. He watches the Disney movies. They had Boy Meets World on there, which I've been.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, yeah, if you're talking about the classic stuff, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. The new. I don't watch any new stuff on Disney Plus. Patrick says, with Julian Assange free, I can't wait to see what WikiLeaks provides of how the Democrats are going to try to get someone to run instead of Biden. I feel like they could just do it. Like super delegates could just choose someone besides Biden. We can get to this in a second, but like let's talk about House of the Dragon.
Okay.
So, like I said, like complete opposite. Like House of the Dragon is a terrific show. It does have a couple of flaws. We can get into that. I'll get to that in a little bit. But like, what are your overall thoughts on House of the Dragon?
I mean, I really enjoy it. It's a little slow at times. It's a little slow at times, and I don't know. I don't find it like quite as compelling this season, at least, as like Game of Thrones. But I still really enjoy it. Yeah,
I like it a lot too. You're right. I mean, it's definitely not Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones, especially seasons 3 and 4, which I'm rewatching now because, like I said, Tom, my co-host on Saturday, he's rewatching it. Like he just watched Red Wedding a week ago, and he's now starting season 4. So I'm rewatching with him to like kind of guide him through it and stuff. And I'm asking him stuff. I'm like, who do you think Jon Snow's mother is? So, so I get answers from him, and it's fun. So I'm rewatching this and watching House of the Dragon at the same time. And like I've seen people on Twitter saying House of the Dragon is just as good as Game of Thrones. I'm like, man, not. I think you might be remembering season 7 and 8 a little too much. And maybe even season 6, but like seasons 3 and 4 of Game of Thrones, like some of the best television ever created. And then House of the Dragon is like a really good show. And maybe even a great show. Like it's great at times, I think, but sometimes like you're right. Like it is too slow. On occasion, I feel like there are also a lot of characters that are like some of them are unnecessary, and like some of the names I'm like like for example, the old woman who died on the dragon in the previous episode. I'm like, if you offer me like $1,000,000 right now to say what's her name, I'd be like, oh man, I'm not getting.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I barely remember.
I
I don't
don't
remember the names of the. I don't remember the names of the characters I like.
Right. I know, like Rhaenyra, Daemon, Aemond, Aegon, the King, Otto, Hightower, Allison, yeah, I mean, King Viserys who died, like I know most of the characters' names, but like some of them, I'm like man, who is that? Like some of the kids, some of the Valerian kids, like the two girls, where like they sent one away with dragon eggs. Like I'm like, I'm like, who are these people? I just can't remember. Like, there's just like so many characters. I think that just some of them seem like unnecessary.
In all fairness, I did feel that way in Game of Thrones too when I first started it.
Fair.
And I didn't read the books.
I had that advantage.
So you didn't read the books for this. You said, yes. So that could be also why you're kind of losing track of the characters, like I did in Game of Thrones at first.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I had a lot of trouble. It took me like a full season at least, or maybe a couple seasons, where I was like, okay, I finally get who everyone is.
Yeah. There's a glossary in the back of every Game of Thrones book to tell you who the characters are and which family they belong to.
I mean, part of the problem too is I did. So there was like one episode. It was like the one where they're having like a banquet, and in the first season, and there's like the tension with the family and like the father. What's his name? Viserys.
Yeah.
Is that his name? That's the father. He was my favorite character. That kind of sucks that he died.
Yeah.
Because I loved like that actor was awesome. I loved the character, and I loved that he was like just trying to bring peace to the family. And there was like that one episode where they were in the like dining hall, and like the tension and everything was like almost equal to Game of Thrones to me.
Yes.
There hasn't been anything this season that's equal to Game of Thrones to me. It's been like a little slow. And I'm also like not that into dragons so much because it's like been done so many times, dragons.
Yep.
I just don't find it as like exciting as far as like a fantasy kind of thing. Like I liked in Game of Thrones that there were like, the different religions that all had like their own gods, and like there were kind of like witches and whatever on Earth that were like people that followed it that actually had some kind of like magic. And I like that there was like the children of the forest, and I like that there were the White Walkers. Like dragons just aren't as original to me, so I'm not as excited to see like dragons fighting. Although I did think that the scene in the last episode where they did have the fight was cool. Like I did enjoy it. Yeah, that was cool. But it's just, I don't know. It's like a little slow, and the fantasy aspect isn't as compelling to me or as exciting to me as the Game of Thrones. But I still really enjoy it. It's just I thought the first season, so as of now, was better because I really like Viserys, and there were just some scenes that were like that rival Game of Thrones in some ways. In my opinion.
I agree. Like the fantasy element of House of the Dragon is definitely lackluster compared to it. Now, I mean, the dragon fight was awesome, but yeah, there are no White Walkers. They don't emerge for another 200 years, so there can't be White Walkers. Not like the only other thing was like Daemon's visions at Harrenhal. That's true. Yeah, that is a fantasy element to it, and he meets Alice Rivers, that witch who says she's a barn owl in the form of human. I believe that is Melisandre, if I'm not mistaken, a young Melisandre, the red woman.
I didn't know she was that old.
Remember in Game of Thrones when she took off her necklace? She was like
she becomes like a super old lady.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I think that is her, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't read the books, these books, but I think that is her. So it's cool that they have her in it. So I kind of wanted to see where that goes, and also Daemon's visions at Harrenhal, and the Harrenhal is haunted, obviously. So like anyone who takes control of Harrenhal has died over the history. So it's not good news for Daemon. But no, I agree that like it's slow. Also, it's slow sometimes. What like Patrick says, I found the first two episodes of House of the Dragon slow, especially that last episode really picked up speed. It did. Like this last episode is more fast paced. I thought the other part of the season so far that was more fast paced was when the rat catchers are in the castle, and like there's tension to like. Are they going to like who are they going to kill? Obviously they're going to kill someone.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was like Game of Thronesy.
Yes, it was. It really was. And, they kill Jaehaerys, the son of Aegon. So I thought that was a great scene. It was really well done. And then also the stuff in Harrenhal. One other thing that bothers me about the show is like the number of times characters sneak into the other enemy base. Like it started with Daemon in the first episode of the season where he goes to meet the Ratcatchers. And I'm like, okay, this is the first time, and it kind of makes sense for Daemon to be, this like almost like this stealthy, because he knows King's Landing so well. Like they established that. Like he would always go down and he'd drink with the people. Like it was established, right? Like he knew all the in and outs, like how to get in. And I was like, okay, I could buy that. But then you have that one night go to Dragonstone when he has the twin there, and I'm like, okay, it kind of makes sense that they would see him and think that it was the other knight. But I'm thinking, like, what if his twin brother was on duty or something? Like, and people are like, wait a second, there are two of them. Like that was ridiculous. And then the worst one was when Rhaenyra goes to meet Alicent at the Sept. I thought I was like, oh, come on, you've done this way too many times already. Just stop it.
I didn't think about it that way, but they do sneak. But then again, I guess it's supposed to be like medieval times, and I guess like how easy would it be to spot somebody back then? I don't know.
I guess I don't know. And plus Rhaenyra's there. Like you can't just be like, hey guards, catch the queen, and then no one will die because we've taken the queen. I don't. It's like that. It's kind of silly. But I don't know. It was kind of cool that Alicent realized that she made a mistake, but now she can't do anything about it because even if she's like, hey, by the way, son, you're not the king. I made a boo boo here. It's not like he's not going to relinquish power, So it is like a cool conflict thing. But the way she realized it, I thought it would have been better if she like read it somewhere. Like the Song of Ice and Fire. If she was reading a book, they even established that she moved the books. She could have read it in one of the books and she'd be like, oh crap. I thought that would have been better,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I do like that everything is kind of spirals out of control. Like how they keep kind of like how they killed is it Aegon, the king? They killed his huh?
I don't know if is he actually dead though? I don't know. Like
No, not him. I'm talking about when they killed his son. I like how that kind of like they kind of made him like that like made him a little nuts. Like cuz he's a sympathetic character and I like his character. Like I even liked how he cried. His mom caught him crying afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I mean that's like how a dude would react if he killed his son. I mean that's like pretty understandable.
Yeah.
And I like his character and how like, it started the conflict that like cuz Daemon's like a dick and tried to go behind her back. Rhaenyra's back by doing that. And like it made the conflict like way worse. I'm like now it's like kind of you can't come back from it.
Yeah, no, it started when Aemon killed was it her,
yeah.
Luke.
Oh yeah, and Aemon's an awesome character.
He is, yeah. I like him a lot.
He's just crazy looking. Like I can't like the dude that they found to play him.
Yeah,
is just insane looking.
He's great. Like he has a smirk on his face. Like when he's in control, like it's almost like Homelander or like smirkish. He knows like he's untouchable almost. But then he has these vulnerable moments, like when he's with that prostitute, like he looks like a scared child. And that's kind of also like Homelander, also like when he's like nursing with the firecracker. So I think he's a great character for sure.
Yeah, he's cool. I mean everybody's cast pretty well. I mean I do like the show. It's definitely entertaining. I just don't know just a little slow. But I mean you're right though. Maybe that whole thing with the witch who I forgot about that was like giving him the visions. Mm-hmm. That'll be like the fantasy element that I've been craving.
Yeah, I hope so. Because I'm like you, and I'm like, I'm just so tired of dragons. Like how many dragons, zombies, and vampire things?
I was just gonna say zombies. So like it's hard to make something that's like zombies or dragons.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
Vampires, werewolves, like all this stuff has been done so many times. I'll at least like give True Blood some credit. Like, and in fact, they don't deserve it. But like when they got into like werepanthers, like I was like, at least this is the dumbest thing because like they're just werewolves that were meth heads. But it's like at least there's something new, At least they tried to be creative. It's horrible, but at least they tried. I almost want to like ask ChatGPT to be like, hey, can you make something that's like that's like a fantasy element that's like werewolves, vampires, zombies, dragons, but that hasn't been made yet. I want to see like what it comes up with. I was always curious about that. But I am tired of dragons, but the scene was cool though. Like there's no denying that. Plus the scene where Aemon kills Luke in season 1, that was great too. Like the dragon, the dragon fights are cool, but the dragons themselves, it's like I don't know, it's kind of tired.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in season 1 that was like comparable to Game of Thrones. Like this season, there's some stuff, but it's like not as much.
Yeah, I mean, it's still young. It's still a young season, and usually the Game of Thrones stuff that we loved was it always in the penultimate episode. It was always episode 9. Like Ned Stark dies, beheaded for season 1, episode 9. There's the Battle of the Blackwater, which is the crazy battle of King's Landing, season 2, episode 9. Red Wedding, season 3, episode 9. Yeah, the Watchers on the Wall. We have Mance Rayder attacking the wall like that.
I mean, it makes sense. I feel like a lot of shows do that. It makes sense.
Yeah, and Hardhome, and then Battle of the Bastards, like such iconic episodes were toward the end, and we haven't reached we're still in the middle of season 2, so I think there's still a ways to go.
Oh,
I think a lot of it's set up. Like it's slow a little bit, but it's a lot of setup, and I think we're going to see some exciting stuff.
I'm super into it. I just like there was like one episode the one where they fired Otto Hightower as the Hand, the one where the king gets rid of him. That's sure that season, that episode in particular was like a lot of talking, and like back and forth where I was kind of like, all right, like I can't at least have like one action scene or something just to like break up the, all the conniving and talking and back and forth. And like I remember that episode was pretty slow, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's always slow episodes in every show. I can forgive that.
Yeah. At least like they kind of introduced like the Master Whisperers being on the High Council like that. Like I thought that was kind of neat. Like that crippled guy, where Aegon's like
he's good.
I find myself wanting for Master Whispers. It's not quite Varys or Littlefinger, but he's a cool character too. You kind of wonder.
No, he's pretty cool. He's a pretty big scumbag.
Yeah, you kind of wonder how he knows his stuff, because like it was eventually revealed that Littlefinger knew his stuff because the prostitutes would lay down with men, and men will tell women anything like when they're having sex with them, and then Varys would know stuff because he had all the kids and he would feed them, and then they'd two important men are talking about a scheme, and there's like a little kid is like poor and just like on the ground like asking for food. They're not gonna be like, hey, go away, we're talking. Like the kid's just gonna listen and he's gonna tell Varys. And so it was really great to see how their networks were revealed. I'm kind of curious about how, I can't remember his name, he's something Strong, how this guy how this guy's network came to be.
And side things, like I get a vibe that they're setting up that who's that? There's a woman that like knows everything about the Red Keep, who was like Daemon's like contact. I have this weird vibe.
I forgot her in season 1. I assume she was in season 1, but like when they
didn't he hook up with her in season 1? I thought he hooked up with her. Am I wrong?
I forget. I like when they reintroduced her in season 2. I'm like, I do not remember this character at all.
I thought maybe he hooked up with her, but maybe I'm wrong.
He must have, because
I'm getting this weird vibe that she's going to hook up with Rhaenyra. They're going to make them like lesbians or something. I don't know.
Of course they are.
We'll see. But I mean, it's based on the book. So if it's in the book, whatever. But if they're like forcing it in the show, but I just get this weird vibe. But I think that I'm just like Jay. I think that I just look for that everywhere. I'm always like worried that I can't enjoy anything anymore because I'm always worried that there's like some agenda that they're going to squeeze into it. And I start seeing it everywhere. And I try not to be that warped, that like I try to be like, all right, not everything is that, and it's like just hard. It's like just modern entertainment has just ruined it for me.
No, it's awful. I hope they don't go down that route. I will say though that like George R. R. Martin is the executive producer of the show, so I feel like if it happened, like they just won't make this decision that like I feel like Benioff and Weiss would have made, or like obviously the boys.
They suck so bad, dude. Benioff and Weiss suck so bad.
But on their they had a zombie polar bear. That was a cool twist.
No, they suck so bad. Are they the ones that just made that 3 Body Problem show on Netflix? I think was it them?
I think so because there are a lot of Game of Thrones characters
Yeah,
actors.
yeah. That show sucks.
Really, I
Like,
haven't seen it.
I watched every episode except the last episode because I thought it was so stupid that I was like, I don't even care enough to watch the last episode and see what happens. I never
Wow.
watched it. I was like, this show is so dumb. It's like if you imagine a 3-year-old writing a sci-fi show and like what they imagine science is. It's so dumb and like pretty woke and anyway, it just shows you how bad they are. Thank God, like they weren't put in charge of anything major. I think they were supposed to do a Star Wars movie at one point or something.
Yeah, that got canceled.
Oh my God, there's zero talent. Anyway,
what was so bad about the 3-year-old? I mean, you said it was written like a 3-year-old, but like what specifically?
it was written like a 3-year-old. Like the science didn't make any sense. All the dudes, all the white dudes in it were like kind of dumb. All the women were the smartest. And the science in it didn't make any sense. There were a lot of things that just didn't make any sense. Like there's one part where like this woman, she's Chinese and she's supposed to be like, like one of the smartest mathematicians, whatever. And she's like trying to help the Chinese communist government like find I forget, it was like there was a signal from space or something, and like her idea was to like aim the telescope at the sun and the sun would amplify the signal, which makes no sense. There was like a lot of stupid things. There was like one part where she was condescending to some Chinese guy, and she's literally like doing like basic subtraction, and they're making it like that's like I can't explain it if you haven't seen it. There's just a lot of really dumb science in it, and a lot of dumb things with the aliens don't make sense, and it was just not good.
It's disappointing because I saw Samwell from Game of Thrones and Davos from Game of Thrones were in it, and I'm like, oh, cool. I like their work on Game of Thrones, so maybe I'll give it a watch. But no, you
I mean, you can try it out. I just thought it was really stupid.
I mean, just the way you're talking about it, I feel like there's so many shows. Like, why am I going to waste my time?
I wouldn't even waste my time.
Yeah. All right. So we're at 11:30. I don't know if you have to go, but like real quick. I mean, Biden had that press conference today. He scheduled a press conference, and I thought he was going to resign. So I actually like turned it on. Like normally I would not have. But,
I hope not.
No. And then he just rambled about I don't know what. Like he talked about how inflation was down, which is not the rate of inflation is down, but not inflation itself. And then he's talking about Trump, and then he talked about how Trump was vice president. Trump was vice president for him, and a lot of it didn't make sense. And then my favorite part was when he was like, "Let's do a Q&A. I have a list of names we have to call out." So he took out this piece of paper of like the reporters' names to call on. like what? Like he had the questions right in front of him for the Q&A section.
I didn't watch it because like, what do people expect? He's gonna like not be senile all of a sudden? I don't understand what's going on. Like, even if he was good at the press conference, it's not going to change. It's not going to change the media's opinion because they still think he's going to lose. Like, even if he did amazing, do you think the media is going to all of a sudden be like, he's not senile anymore? We were all wrong, and like, let's stand behind him. And no, they think he's going to lose against Trump, so they were still going to be like, we got to get rid of him, and everybody's still going to rebel against him. So I just didn't bother watching it. It's the same. Like, he's still senile. It's not going to get better. Like, he's still going to say weird things and mess up words, and I don't know. I don't even get why they keep trying.
Well, I mean, he scheduled it. Like he wanted to prove.
Yeah, it's all him. Yeah, it's all him. It's all his team. Like nobody's backing him up at this point. It's just his team. That's like under his command probably. That's like trying to make him look better because he's in denial about his condition, which is understandable. Which is very common amongst like old people, and I think he has Parkinson's personally. I do. I've said that for a long time because like he walks with his arms stiff.
Yeah.
And there's like certain telltale signs that just seem like it, but yeah, I mean, he's in denial about it, and he's kind of arrogant and has like an ego, and I get it. And he's not trying to admit anything and thinks that he can do it, but it's just like there's no point of even watching any of these things anymore because like he's still going to do the same stuff. It's not going to get better.
Well,
unless he takes Parkinson's meds, maybe.
Well, I mean, a Parkinson's specialist has been visiting the White House every month for the past 7 months. So, I mean, obviously, I think it's obvious that he has Parkinson's.
If not just dementia, some other form of dementia. But I mean, it just seems. I just think, it seems to me like Parkinson's just based on like how he moves and his facial features, and it's just the vibe I get.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot wrong with him like medically right now. I can't see him running. I can't see him being the candidate. I feel like unless the Democrats think that there's no way they can beat Trump, I feel like they have to replace him. Like if they think they can win with someone else, whether it's Newsom or Big Mike or Gretchen Whitmer, like I feel like they would choose one of them if they think they can win. But I'm not. See, if I'm Newsom, I'm like, do I run now, like without being able to campaign, or do I wait till 2028 and I could avoid Trump? You know, if I'm Newsom, I think I might wait. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if they can find someone to run. And plus, you know, we are approaching it's less than 4 months now, so. It's kind of a time crunch, really. Like their only other option is Kamala, and she actually polls worse than Biden, so she's not like.
I saw polls that said that she would beat Trump, but like I don't believe that.
No,
I don't really believe polls too much. I don't believe polls too much.
Well, no, because I mean, the only people who answer polls are those who aren't working. Like someone who's working like normal hours and then has to come home and feed their family. Like they don't have time to answer polls. It's like unemployed people or like, you know, part-time workers who have time to answer like phone calls, you know?
I mean, I personally think that if they pick anyone besides Kamala, they'd probably beat Trump. Really? Which is why I'm scared. Which is why that whole debate was a bad idea for Trump, because it was a lose-lose. And now I'm nervous that they're going to pick somebody else. Although everything I've read, I thought that Biden would have to voluntarily drop out. I thought they have no mechanism for getting rid of him besides him dropping out.
Oh no, it's the super delegates. The DNC runs it differently than the Republicans. Like at the convention, the super delegates can just vote for whomever they want. John Stewart actually brought it up. He said he's like, this is new information that Biden has mental issues. Like we need to elect someone, and he's like, the super delegates can vote for someone new. And I'm like, this is not new information if you've been paying attention. Like he said true on the Shabbat pressure, Batacath care, next now Rescent in 2020. This is before he became president.
Everyone's known. That's why like I was telling you before, like everyone's known that he's senile. At least, I mean, obviously the media knew, but they were just gaslighting everybody and saying that he wasn't. Because
I agree. The media, I feel like the media knew, but they cover it up. But I've heard a few people, plenty, like one of my friends who I consider a smart guy. Unfortunately, he's Democrat, so maybe not too smart, but I think that he's a little smart. And he texted a mutual friend of ours, and he's like, "I can't believe what I'm seeing with Biden. Has he really been this bad?" And
yeah,
I didn't talk
so
to
weird.
him, but no, I mean, again, this is not a dumb guy. And a lot of people were caught off guard by this because they were just spoon fed by the media.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to me it was just like I was like, yeah, that's the way he talks. Like I don't. It was so weird. I was like, yeah, what did you think he was going to do at the debate? Like all of a sudden become normal. Same thing with the press conference. I don't even watch him anymore because like he's not going to redeem himself. He has a condition, like he's old and has some kind of form of dementia. It's like sad. I don't want to watch him keep doing the same thing. It's like sad to me.
Yeah, it would be sad if he wasn't such a scumbag.
He is a scumbag. He is a scumbag, but I always feel bad for old people. I don't know, but he is a scumbag, and it is his choice to be doing these things.
His wife has a lot to do with it because she can't miss out on her state dinners. Of course, it's very important.
Well, no, of course. I mean, I'm sure she's involved, and I'm also sure it's his ego and it's his denial, which whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all I know is the media knew. That was not a surprise to them. That's the media knew, and they spent all this time. Nobody ever cared about Biden. Like nobody in the media ever actually cared about Biden. They never like backed up his decisions. All anyone ever did was try to say whatever they needed to say and to omit whatever they need to omit in order to stop Trump from winning. That's all any of them care about. And so as soon as this last chance for Biden to prove himself, I guess, failed in their eyes, they all turned on him immediately because they don't care about him. They only care about Trump not winning. I wouldn't be surprised if they would assassinate Biden to stop him from running. Like they would do anything because they believe the boys. That's what they believe is going to happen if Trump wins. It's like the boys, and that's how they view people.
It is the projection. But I feel like if they didn't have this out with the super delegates, they might do that. But they could just be like, oh, we're nominating so and so. It could be anyone. That's how the NC works.
But doesn't that go against like the whole democracy? Like, doesn't he have aren't the delegates already his because he won the primary?
That's what the delegates don't matter. It's the super delegates who matter for the Democrats. And that's funny. Yes, it goes against democracy, which they always preach. They must defend democracy. But of course, they don't care about democracy. When it comes down to it, they just want to win. Slew with the 222 super chat. Thank you so much, Slew. He says 22 cents more than contributions to Biden at their presser. Yes, I'm sure someone donated. Some old lady who didn't listen donated $2 to Biden. So thank you so much, Slew. Really appreciate it. He said Disgruntled says Louis body dementia.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. John says, just got here. Do you know if this is covered? But do you know who the next Puka Nakua is? It's a running joke we have on here. I'll answer this. I don't think there's going to be another Puka Nakua, but if there is, it's Brendan Rice. It's my answer all the time. John says Trump has a ceiling, so if they run the right candidate, ... And he says Jon Stewart would probably win if he ran. How would you feel about Trump's chances against Jon Stewart if he ran?
I got to be honest. Like, I do think Trump has a lot of supporters, and I do think people, now that he was president, are aware of how. I think the thing with Biden is that Biden's proven himself as a bad president, and he's old, and now whatever, which everybody was already aware of, I thought, but I guess I was wrong. I don't know. But Biden's proven himself as a bad president, and I think that I do think that anybody running against Trump who's not Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton, I don't know. I think it'd be really. I don't know if it'd be like a landslide, but I'd be pretty nervous that Trump would lose. Like, even if it was Jon Stewart, I think really anybody, because anybody that doesn't have a proven record of being president and failing, I think it's still the same reason that Biden won the last time, is because I think people just don't want to have to deal with the whole Trump drama again and having to hear about it in the news and everything he says and the fact checking. It's annoying. You know what I mean? Like, people just want to move on and have a normal person, which I think people expected with Joe Biden. I think it's the reason Joe Biden won, is because a lot of people thought that all right, let's just have a moderate Democrat who's it's going to calm down and there's not going to be any of this nonsense anymore. And that was totally wrong. And because because Biden's entire term was trying to stop Trump from winning the next time. So he did all this radical left nonsense and tried to appeal to his far left base. So it ended up being just as bad. And I think people just kind of want to get out of this whole thing. So that's my fear, that why anybody besides Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton would win.
Yeah, I think if they ran someone young and fresh, I think that it would be difficult for Trump to win.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying that Trump will definitely lose. I just think it would be a really tough battle, much tougher than against Biden or Harris or Hillary. Those three, I feel like, are toxic at this point. Anyone else? I think Whitmer would be toxic too. I think she'd have a better chance because she's younger and newer, but she's very unlikable. I don't think she would win. However, Newsom is, while he's awful in office, he's a terrific politician in that he can convince people to vote for him. That's what it comes down to.
And I think and don't forget that if they replace him really late in the game, you're not going to even have time to know that you hate these people. Yeah. I think that's part of the goal also, is they're going to replace them right before the election as close as they can, so that it's just kind of you barely even get to know these people before you vote, and you're basically just voting against Trump.
Yeah, and also the Republicans won't have that much of a time. Won't have much time to game plan against this new candidate. I don't think they know who they're running against, which is a little scary.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage the Democrats have, assuming they unseat Biden, which I think they will do. But if they think the polling is so bad that they can't beat Trump, because Trump's going to get a ton of votes. We know that from last time. He got more votes than any sitting president. Magically Biden had more. We talked about this yesterday. There's 163 or so million registered voters and 156 million voted. So it's 97% of voters voted. In Australia, it's actually illegal not to vote. They fine you $100. And in Australia, in Australia, the voter turnout is 92%. So even 8% of the people who get fined, they actually don't vote. So it was higher here for some reason, which is ridiculous. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like anyone who believes the 81 million number is insane or stupid. Let's see here. Chris says, "What about Matt Millen? He was an expert on polls." Yes, he would ride young stallions and insert kibasas into the backside. He would maybe have a chance. John says people that don't follow politics were taken aback. So yes, that's like my friend I'm talking about. This guy, like I said, not a dumb guy. He's an accountant. So he was shocked, and I think that like people who like the normies, like we're not normies. We listen to like political shows. Like I mentioned Timcast earlier. There's we both listen to like Ben Shapiro and stuff like that on occasion. So like we're not like the normal people, like the normal independents who like just tune into the debate for the first time, and we're kind of shocked to hear it. Like I feel like people who don't pay attention at all were surprised, even though they shouldn't have. If they paid attention at all, they wouldn't have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just hard for me to believe that like nobody's seen him talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that like the media has done as best it can to cover up any kind of thing like that, unless you watch Fox, or like one of those networks. But like a lot of the mainstream media has done a lot to try to cover up like things that he said. But like any speech he makes, he stutters and mumbles, and like none of it was new. It was just weird to me. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I guess I was just viewing it. I was viewing it from my own perspective, and I didn't realize like how bad people would have taken it, because I was like, oh, he's still senile. Like it wasn't weird to me that he was fumbling with his words like the whole beginning of the thing. I mean, I thought it wasn't good, but I didn't think it was going to be like a shock to anybody. But I do think the media is presenting it as more of a shock than it is, because they have to go back on their whole narrative where they were saying it was sheep fakes and all that. Right. And so the only way they can do that is to act like shocked.
Yep.
But they're not shocked.
No, and they did a good job of convincing the normies that he was fine, and I feel like, the veil was shattered really at the debate, where like the normies for the first time heard this, whereas they didn't, because the media. You're right, the media covered it up extremely well. I mean, like now, like I said, I'd be surprised if he runs. Sue says Biden only won, quote unquote, 477 out of 42 counties in 2020. Quote unquote one is correct there. John says shiny new penny phenomenon. Yeah, exactly. I think that's correct. Like if they run someone young and fresh, and like the public has no reason to hate this person, I think that's the worst case scenario for Trump. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, I just think that I think that a lot of people, even Republicans that like aren't like diehard Trump supporters, but like will vote for him because they hate Biden. Mm-hmm. Like even they wouldn't vote for probably a Democrat, but I don't know. It just a lot of independents. I just think they just don't want. They want something new. Like people are sick of this whole people are sick of just seeing Trump anywhere, and just want something new. And definitely, if a Democrat came out and said that they would pardon Biden when they became president, I think that would be a smart move.
Yeah.
To gain votes.
Yeah.
What did I say? Did I say pardon Biden? I meant pardon Trump. Did I say pardon Trump?
Well,
pardon Trump,
they could say pardon both.
Well, pardon Hunter Biden, but nobody gives a shit about him.
Oh no, I was referring to Joe Biden with the Burisma bribery and stuff like that.
Oh well, yeah, he's done a lot of illegal shit, but whatever.
He admitted to bribery on national TV.
I mean, it's classic politician stuff, like nepotism and getting your son jobs to get him money. Your good for nothing drug addict son. Like, of course he did that.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying that Hunter Biden didn't deserve to make $40,000 a month?
No, of course. I mean, come on. Like, it's the same thing as like like the what was the Hollywood, the chick from like Full House got her daughter into school and like lied.
Oh yeah, Lori. Was it Lori Loughlin? Whatever her name is.
Yeah, Lori Loughlin. Yeah. That's what people do. Like that's what politicians do. That's what rich people do. It's like of course he did that. He used his connections to get his like good for nothing son money and whatever. Of course.
Yeah, and I mean, Hunter is a master painter too, so he was selling his paintings for $500,000.
Yeah, he sells paintings for millions of dollars. It was like those stupid finger paintings.
Right.
It's obviously ridiculous. Obviously he does. I mean, all politicians do that stuff in all fairness, but like, come on, like, it's so crazy the double standard with the law and all that, and like they're how they're just trying to get Trump on anything. It's insane. But if a Democrat came in and actually acted like a moderate and said that they would pardon Trump and just want to like actually heal the country, I mean, they would win a lot of votes.
Yeah, I
not
totally
for me
agree.
because I've given up on the Democratic Party, but
No, I mean,
I mean,
yeah, I know what you're saying for like independents. Yes, totally. And Chris says Whitmer would be the worst option possible of the new people. Like, I think she'd be a better option for Democrats than Hillary and Kamala, because she's a new, somewhat unknown to the normies, but she's very unlikable. Like she reminds me of Umbridge from Harry Potter.
well, Josh Shapiro might be good.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe. I think he sucks as our governor. But
He fixed 995 really quick.
of course, yes.
That's like all I know, really. That's all I know about him.
Yes. Yeah, he's done a great job there. All right, so I guess that's it. Great conversation as always with you, Ferrell. Love talking about the TV shows and of course the politics. So we'll have to have you on again in the future. But guys, thanks so much for watching and commenting. I really appreciate it. Thanks especially to Slew for the 222 super chat. Really appreciate it. So please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be really appreciated. Chris, last comment says, "Oh, I didn't mean as a candidate. I mean she's a deplorable person and would make a terrible president." Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm there for anything to plug, anything you like. I want to. The floor is yours.
I got nothing as usual.
All right. Well, I'll plug this show. We'll be back on Saturday with Tom. He's rewatching the season 4, episode 1 and 2, I believe, maybe more. But we'll see. And then we'll talk about other stuff as well. Maybe get into the Scottish Open, which through day 1, our bets are looking pretty good. Rory and Aberg are both tied for 8th. They're only 2 strokes back, or maybe 3 strokes back, so they both have a good chance. But yeah, we'll be back on Saturday, and like I said, next week I will not be on Thursday because I'm flying to Vegas. But otherwise, shows every normal day. But yeah, once again, guys, thanks so much, and I'll talk to you later.